Here, good afternoon. Let's start.
Should be good. That's my new AI device.
Oh, boy.
5 minutes. Oh, yeah.
Good afternoon. It is 4:32 and it is April 28th. This is the evening workshop for the town of Grand Lake. We are absent.
You can call the meeting to
I
order.
can call the meeting to order.
Roll call.
Roll call. Here we go. So as you see, we're missing a few trustees. Mike Arnston, trustee Arnston will be here shortly. As will trustee Casso. I will address absences at the 6 o'clock meeting for trustee Schroner. And do we have any conflicts of interest, Miss Elena? Will you please ask?
Yep, trustee Miller.
Trustee Miller.
Whoa.
You. Trustee Miller.
No conflicts.
Do not trust.
Mayor Pro Tem Sovon.
No conflicts.
And Mayor Burgess.
I have none.
Somewhere on your end, it seems like, so. Ooh.
So we'll start with items of discussion tonight. We've got Kyle with us from GC Win for an update. If you would come to the podium and state your name and address, and I think we should have your, we received your program for
Presentation.
this evening, and so
Yeah.
welcome, Kyle.
Thank you so much. So Kyle Masterson, I am at 220 Park Avenue up on Woodpecker Hill, but tonight I'm here to represent Grand County Water Information Network. Want to thank Steve for inviting us tonight, as well as Elena for helping get all of my presentation set up. So thank you so much. It's a really exciting time for GC Win. The town has been very involved with us, I think, through our 20-year tenure, not only as a member, but also through all of your support with donating facilities for some of our education events. So I want to start off just by thanking the trustees for your time tonight and for your continued support for a little nonprofit. And once we get this up and running, I'll just give a little overview, starting with we completed, so again, we've been around for 20 years. And after those 20 years, the board of directors decided it was the perfect time to do a facilitated strategic plan. And so the board and I spent 3 days going through looking at our past, but more so looking into our future. It was a really exciting 3 days. We went everything from rewriting our mission and our vision statements to looking at not only how do we continue, but how do we become more sustainable and valuable to this community in Grand County. So there's our vision. And it's brand new. We came up with it now. So a future where our communities thrive in harmony with a healthy, resilient Upper Colorado River watershed guided by science, collaboration, and shared stewardship. I'll talk about each one of those aspects, the guided by science, collaboration, that all comes into a little bit more of my presentation, but that overarching vision is there for you. And then our mission, the next slide. If you knew what our mission was before, you would understand why I'm so excited that we got to rewrite this. It was a mouthful and it really was not misleading, but just hard to understand really what we did. And so through the strategic plan, we came up with to support collaborative efforts to protect and enhance the Upper Colorado River watershed by serving as a leader in data accessibility and monitoring efforts in Grand County. I think that really encompasses what we do. And since GC Win's incorporation in 2004, we were really founded to be the data hub So we host pretty much all of the water quality data that is collected in Grand County. It's through our publicly accessible database, which I'm going to get into a little bit later. We are redoing to make even more interactive, user friendly. Whether you're a trout fisherman or a scientist, you could go to it and find a page that's relevant to what you're interested in and be able to download data from there. Moving on, here are the 4 values that the board of directors came up with, or I guess I shouldn't say came up with, redefined through our strategic planning. As I said before, we are science driven. That to me is a very, very important thing. I have 2 degrees in science. I was a science teacher for 4 years at the high school. So it is it is my it's in my blood to just make sure that everything we do is science-based and backed, so there's no question as to what our methods and procedures are. We're very collaborative. We not only partner with towns and sanitation districts, but we're also very involved with larger entities like Northern Water, Denver Water, Learning by Doing, all individual or bigger entities that are involved with the water that is within our county. So we try to be a voice in all of those meetings and be the hub for where they can all come and also get some information or some help with monitoring. The big one is we are nonpartisan. This, no matter what, when you talk about water, you get into some politics. And so while I might have my own views and opinions, I also hold very strongly to this one. And there's been several times, it was actually at one of our field trips not that long ago. One of the parents came up and started asking some very political questions. And I love my answer of, I'm not here to choose sides. I'm here to collect data and educate, and that's what GCWIN is here for. So you can use our data and do what you want with it, but I'm not here to get in the middle. So I like that stance a lot. Yeah, exactly. Not to say that, some of the more political ones aren't great, but it's not in my nature to be a gun ho, let's go after some people. So, and then watershed stewardship, I think living in this county, no matter what, we take pride in our water. We want to protect it. And so we want to encourage and educate the next round of water stewards, whether that's a second grader or a new community member or someone who's been here for 20 years. So that's a little bit of a big background of really what we came up with during that strategic plan. The next several slides, I'm going to go through each one of our pillars. We had 3 originally. I've added a 4th through that strategic plan. We realized that financials is a huge one. We need to not just rely on our partners who have helped sustain us through the last 20 years, but ensure that we can make sure our services are in line with what their needs are. And so that financial piece was a big part of it. So I've talked about all that. I'm going to go through each one of these. I'll give a little bit of an overview of each one, and then I'll talk about what's next. So what that strategic plan actually got us to and what we're looking forward to. So that first one is probably one of our biggest. It brings in a lot of money, is our watershed monitoring. And I'm sure a lot of you might be familiar with this. So Elena, you can go whenever you're ready. We do routine monitoring throughout the county. And I'll talk briefly about each one of our programs. Again, this data is uploaded into our publicly accessible database. It's used for all kinds of things, whether that's state data calls so that the state can determine the grades of our rivers and streams, as well as a slew of other projects that look into where it would be most beneficial to do some restoration projects. Okay, I did try to simplify this. I did a presentation similar to the Board of County Commissioners, and a lot of my transitions broke the computer. So I think I got rid of most of them. but I will apologize therefore because now it's just not as exciting. So we have four main programs. We have lake clarity, cyanobacteria, electric conductivity, and then our biggest one is stream temperature. If you want to go to the next one, Elena, lake clarity. This is where you might see us out on Shadow Mountain or Grand Lake. We are hired by Northern Water as part of their GLAM operations to collect the data on Grand Lake and Shadow Mountain for lake clarity. That consists of going out 3 days a week from the end of May until the end of September. We lower a Secchi disc. It's a little black and white disc, hence the little symbol. You lower it until you lose sight of it. Those numbers then are correlated to an overall clarity. We also collect phytoplankton samples and chlorophyll A, which are sent to a lab and processed to just monitor those. And we take underwater pictures, more just used for visual aid for anybody who might not know a lot about clarity. It's a nice visual that we have. New last year was our multi-parameter sonde. It can collect 6 things at once, everything from DO to conductivity, all kinds of things. So it was a really expensive piece of equipment. We got a grant for it, plus some cash match. And again, the goal is just we want to protect these waters. We want to make sure that we're trying to stay ahead of anything that might be causing something that could impact any sort of water quality.
And where are those samples being taken?
Yeah, great question. So each one of those little symbols represents the 7 sites. So near the dam at Shadow Mountain, and then we kind of work our way north, and we have 4 sites there. Then we go through the channel, and then we monitor kind of the west end of Grand Lake, the east end of Grand Lake, and then right smack dab in the center to try to get the biggest encompassing visual of what's going on. As you know, once things start pumping and flowing and running in different directions, it can really change. So we try to get a full profile of the entire lakes.
You do some measurements in these 2 lakes?
Good question. The only sonde that we currently do is at Grand Lake Mid, so the center one there. That was determined by the GLAM operations just to kind of get the overall picture of Grand Lake. It takes about an hour to do it. So you lower it a meter and then wait 2 minutes for it to calibrate itself. And then you lower it another meter and you go all the way to 60 meters. So it's time consuming for our field staff, but it was, that was the best place to kind of get the overall picture. So thanks for asking those questions, Steve. Appreciate it.
Do you guys go out on boats? Are you on a kayak?
Yeah, good question. We actually so since this is with Northern Water, they have a field monitoring boat that we get to use. So that's donated, and Three Lakes Watershed Association donates the boat slip for us each year.
Okay.
So yeah, again, that collaboration, without that help, we wouldn't have what we need. As much as I'd love to do it on kayaks, that'd take a while. It's already a beautiful day when you get to start out on the lakes every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But I think if you were out there on a kayak, by the end of it, you'd be really wishing you had a motor.
Absolutely.
Wanted to clarify.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right. So any other questions about Lake Clarity?
Just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Lake Granby does not fall in your guys' jurisdiction.
Not ours. So Northern Water does a lot of their own monitoring of Lake Granby.
Okay.
That is just something that has always been since I've been affiliated with GCWIN. I don't have, I guess, more information. That's just always the one reservoir they've monitored. And then these 2, maybe since we're more agile and local, since we're in the modular by the school, old school, we can jump on a boat as quickly as we need to.
Do you guys compare numbers? Does that data get?
Yeah, so the GLAM meetings, Grand Lake Adaptive Management, that's a weekly meeting that includes the Forest Service, BLM, Northern Water folks, and they really look at all of our data compared to what Northern Water is collecting. They project all of these things. So that is a great meeting to get way more into the details of what all of the metrics are speaking to. They look at pumping and what's shifting. They have two songs that are permanent in Shadow Mountain and Granby. So it's a little overwhelming. It's one of those things where in the meeting I understand what's going on, but if you ask me point blank, I'd have to really remember kind of what all those statistics are. But yes, it is. It's that collaborative thing where we're taking the Three Lakes watershed and kind of comparing and looking at what that dynamic flow is, because we have a very unique you know, diversions and Adams Tunnel pumping back and forth. It gets dynamic, and everyone that I know I work with is invested in ensuring that we're trying to do everything we can to keep it clear, keep it recreational, everything like that.
And if I could just quickly add, the
Please.
Three Lakes Watershed Association for the last 7 years is the town's official representative to these meetings. They have always been interested in the science over the last 70 years,
Yeah.
but it's only in the last several that they've had an official voice.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve.
And then Kyle, I'm asking a lot of questions.
Yeah,
here.
no, of course, please.
On Shadow Mountain on the south side, there's those two stations that are labeled. Are those yellow pontoon looking?
Yeah, so good question. So the one that's down right here. And there's one by the dam. You're right. So those are permanent songs. So the same thing we do in the middle of Grand Lake, those buoys are set out there and they deploy automatically down into a certain depth, so they get the profile of the lake. So that's probably one reason, you know, why we don't, I would imagine having a yellow buoy in Grand Lake wouldn't be the best in terms of just visuals. So that's why we do it out there. But yeah, they're also extremely expensive.
I imagine
So
so.
that's what those buoys are.
Okay.
They have
So
little.
you guys are getting data from those, or that
Yep.
is going directly to Northern Water, basically.
It does. And that data is also accessible, and we talk about it in the GLAM meetings. So, which again, all those partners that are looking into it, always asking questions, and yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the questions. Appreciate it. All right. So moving on, the next one is maybe the scariest if you don't know a lot about it, cyanobacteria. So the town is one of our sponsors with this, and we monitor oh, my little buttons didn't go all the way. They're the little bacteria looking green things on the screen there. So we have 6 zones. Yeah. This year, and starting mid-June, our field techs will go out, they'll do field observations, get out of the car, kind of walk around the big recreational sites looking for any signs of cyanobacteria. Also, sometimes more commonly known as toxic blue-green algae. We try very hard with our public announcements that cyanobacteria is the technical term of it. Please use it. If you see it, don't touch it, all that kind of stuff. So if, Elaine, if you go to the next slide too. I do still have some transitions on here, yay. So as I just said, those field data observations, if we do see any signs of cyanobacteria, the field techs are trained to collect samples. Those samples are then processed in-house. We have ELISA testing. It's a kind of like a COVID test. It's a dipstick and you wait and you process things. That will give us a baseline of if there are actual toxins being produced. If there are, and it's at a level that's high enough, or if we have some funds just to get more information, we'll send those into a lab to be further analyzed. They'll also look at phytoplankton samples there to try to get a better understanding of what the species are. I will say that Willow Creek is the problem child, and we've seen blooms there I've been with GC Wind for 2 years, so I know we've seen it for the past 2 years. No matter how gnarly the actual bloom looked, the level of toxin being produced has never exceeded the like limit that CDPHE has set for safe recreation. So if we see it, we always take the side of caution. We report out as soon as we can. BLM will post warning signs just to let recreators know that there's a bloom present. Make sure that you wash your hands or you wash yourself if you did get in the water. Don't let your dogs drink the water. That's really the biggest thing. I personally think it's such an important program just because of that public safety standpoint. And with, certain things changing in the environment, warmer temperatures, and it was really started because of the fire. It nutrient loaded all of our watershed, and so those cyanobacteria were more likely to bloom. So it's been 5 years now. So we're still seeing it. Were some questions about whether it's because of any runoff anymore or it's just now present in the water. So it's still a developing program with lots of great questions and some data for research kind of being collected. So
if it's present in the water and
Mhm.
it's not something that's flowing down because of, then depending on a drought, depending on the heat, then it can bloom.
Ooh, that's kind of a loaded question. It can bloom for many reasons.
Okay.
Yeah. We've been seeing it the most late in the season when there is movement of water can deter it from being able to like grow and reproduce and bloom. So the movement of water is good, but later in the season when there's less movement through the system, that's where we see it. And again, luckily, we've been fortunate to only see it in Willow Creek. But we continue to monitor all the other sites because, as you know, all of these things are connected. So we just hope that we can always stay ahead of it. And there's a lot of really great minds that are trying to think of ways to even prevent it. There's different methods for it, and that's always part of a conversation of if there is a bloom, can we kill it? But then again, that comes with its own risks of introducing a different type of not herbicide?
Chemical or.
Yeah, like an herbicide,
They-
but for bacterium. Yeah. So
Gotcha.
so it's a very interesting conversation whenever we do end up seeing blooms, but again, rest assured that we're out there every week, and as soon as we see something, we get the word out. And then my next slides actually have some PSA topics. I love to talk about this because it's actual tangible. So you can see those clumps on the picture on the left. So cyanobacteria is unique in the fact that it floats to the top. It creates almost a mat. And so you can see kind of those clumps, unlike filamentous algae, where if you were to take a stick and lift it up, it looks like a sea monster, right? This will make a stick look painted. So that's an indication of cyanobacteria. So we do a stick test. That's one of our field tests to determine if it is indeed potential for cyanobacteria. Then we take a sample in a glass jar. We let it rest for about an hour. And if, again, a characteristic of it is that it'll all float to the top. Other types of algae will be dispersed within the water column. And then a close-up of the picture on the right, it's sometimes just known as the grass clipping algae because it does look like shredded pieces of grass. So those are three very great visual indicators. And we always say, if you see something and you're not sure, call us and we will get that. Again, that is the beauty of GCWN being here, is we can get someone deployed in 2 minutes out into the field to check it for that public safety standpoint. So yeah, that's cyanobacteria. Any other questions about it?
You said just Willow Creek has had the presence of it there, no other body of water.
Not that we've seen. There was a incident last summer in Arapahoe Bay. A lady's dog got really sick after swimming there. We went, we monitored it, we put out some warning signs, if my memory serves me right. But our field test didn't pass. And so that is a new site that was added this year, regardless of what our field test showed. And it was very late in the season. So we've added that as a biweekly monitoring site just to be safe, since it is, I think I heard a statistic of how much of an increase Arapahoe Bay has seen in terms of foot traffic. And so the group decided that was worth the expense to start monitoring that a little bit more closely, just to ensure if it is there, we get it, and start collecting more data on it. And if it isn't, peace of mind. So fingers crossed. Hopefully with snowpack, we have a good flow season. All right. TNDC, temperature and electric conductivity. Gonna brush through this one. This is another Northern Water program. It measures the ions within all of the inflows into our three-lake system. They use it as an indicator for a whole slew of things that are way above my pay grade. But our field team we are contracted to go out there, the blue dots and yellow plus symbols. So we look at North Inlet, East Inlet, the two pumps that do go into Granby, and then Roaring Fork and A Bay, Arapahoe Creek. There we go. So if you want more information on that, you can ask questions. I guarantee you I'm not going to have the answers on that one. I've tried to understand it. It gets way too into chemistry, which was never my strong suit.
Love your candor.
But I do try sometimes. But I'd be happy to relay questions to someone over at Northern if you do have any. All right. I think you can probably do it double quick, because that's just information on how we do it. And then stream temperature. We have 50 plus sites throughout the entire county in which we collect stream temperature. It is one of the easiest metrics to collect data on. And temperature is then an indication for a whole other slew of water quality factors, macroinvertebrates, fish, not population, but thriving, or anything like that. So all those blue dots represent a stream temperature site within the county. And we actually have 3 downstream on the Colorado all the way down to Dot Zero, which I will be working with the field tech tomorrow to deploy those sites. So that'll be a fun day, fun drive. If you go to the next slide, Elena.
And you guys aren't checking these constantly.
Good question. So they collect a log every 15 minutes, and the field tech is out every 2 weeks to each site to then download the data. We then will upload it into our database. So it is in a live stream, similar to what you might see with USGS. Again, while I would love to have that technology, it's very expensive, but this is more for that big holistic picture of a longitudinal data collection for restoration projects or the stream grading that I was talking about.
I think this was my next question, is who's taking care of it?
Yeah, so
Right.
you teed me up perfectly. So you can see all of the different partners that we work with and have contracts with. The town has always been faithful in helping with our personal sites. So the GC Wind sites that are mainly along the Colorado River, kind of between Granby and Hot Sulphur. But then we partner with Upper Colorado Wild and Scenic Stakeholder Group. Those are the 3 downstream on the Colorado. We have a ton with Denver Water. Learning by Doing is invested in some. And then I also included Northern Water for TNEC again, since it's electric conductivity and temperature. So it's our biggest program. But I do think, when I talk about it, I realize that it's one of those things that's hard to cyanobacteria. You have pictures, you have things that you can see that you can get people interested in. You talk about stream temperature, it's like, yeah, cool, temperature. But that's why I try and, preface it with that's one of the things that we can constantly look at and see different changes in continuously. you can't get someone out doing macroinvertebrate sampling every day. That's just not logical, not doable. So it may not be glorious, but it does add to the big collection of data that can be used for projects and research and things like that. Any questions about stream temp? All right, Elena, you're up. Awesome. So when we look at monitoring and what's next, these programs have been going on, some of them since 2005, or some of these stream temp sites. Other programs like cyanobacteria, again, they had started before East Troublesome Fire and then picked back up during that time. So we're looking at, while we're small and local, we want to stay affordable, but we do need to ensure that we're staying competitive with those services. So looking at updating our cost structure so that we can be more self-sustainable, make sure that we can fund our field techs. It's always hard to find some because it's a seasonal job. It's a great job, but it's hard to enough trying to keep people around here year round. So trying to pay them well. We would like to hire a full-time watershed program manager, someone who has a lot of expertise that can just help manage all of these programs, maybe find us some new programs. One of the big things on my to-do list, I want to make sure that these programs are still essential to the members or that they still see value in it. Obviously, I think they do, otherwise they could stop helping fund things. But I want to have those conversations. I think that's important just to have that, again, collaboration with each and every single one of these entities that helps fund these programs and make sure that if we're missing something, let's start the conversation. I also would love to find something that's very directly community facing. We've talked about potentially looking into like well testing. Right now that can really only be done through the state. So something that we could help with, get out there, collect the data, have it analyzed, and then give some reports back. So some big lofty goals for little GC Win here in the future, but I think we have a great board. I'm an enthusiastic person, I think. So I think we have a bright future with those. And then new technology. There's talks about drones doing all of this stuff. They even have little surfboards that now you can deploy your sonde on and go do it so it's safer. I don't want to take that fun away from my techs though. So you didn't hear that from me. But always looking to see, again, what's needed, what's the technology that's out there so that we can help get the data collected. Anything? Okay. The next ones don't take as long. All right, so data management, I've talked a lot about it. I think last year alone, we collected 1 million rows of data. So it is extensive. It is used internally just to share with certain stakeholders. And then again, for state data calls to set those standards for stream grades. I would love to know if universities are tapping into it at all. So again, that's kind of a future thing, but you can go ahead and go to the next one, Elena. I have talked about every single one of these points, so I won't bore you by going over them again. I will just state again, so our current system is Aquams. If you've ever had to log on to it, I'm sorry. It is a great database. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they made uploading stuff to the EPA way easier than just dealing with EPA. So thankful to have Aquams, but in terms of being user friendly, it is not that site. So last year, prior to me, Mary Price started a grant process to work with LRE Water out of Denver. And LRE has done a lot of work with other similar nonprofits, Yampa being one of them, the Yampa River. And they do a great job taking this robust, very technical data and then breaking it down into what we want to show, what our stakeholders care to see. So that is currently in the works. We got a grant from CWCB as well as some cash match funding, and really looking forward to hopefully by I think next week or the week after, we should have a brief prototype of what that database is going to be. So once it's up and running, I look forward to coming back to the trustees and showcasing that, kind of showing its capabilities. I think it's really going to change who uses our data and just how shareable it can really be. All right, Elena. As I just said, so improve that usability, increase awareness. I am a nerd in terms of data, so I can't wait to host little workshops and have people come in so I can show them how to use it, how to use the filters, really make it something that anybody in the county could use for their specific purpose. It'll be able to tap into Northern Waters database, USGS, all of these things, so you can get real live updates from things like USGS, but then you can really get down and nitty gritty with some of the other databases that we'll be able to tap into. So hosting some annual workshops. I did include that website. It is extremely robust, and we're kind of using it as our footprint, if you will. We went through and looked at a bunch of different websites that kind of had the things that we were interested in, and then we picked and choose what we wanted LRE to focus on. So if you wanted to just see a little bit of a preview, please visit uriamperriver.org/dashboard, and you can kind of get an idea of what we might be looking at. So really excited for it. All right. My favorite, I shouldn't say that, but it is being a teacher. Our education is one of the most important things I think we can do for our community. So right now we hit every second, fifth through eighth grader in the county, including West Grand. And they're some of the funnest, most fun days that I get to have in this job. If you've ever seen the kids running around town, it's a hoot, but we're really there to encourage again that next generation of water stewards. So all of our lessons have something to do with water, with ecology, the watershed. And I am looking forward to trying to expand that, get back into the high school, maybe get a couple kids to change their idea of what their careers could be, but also doing more public types of workshops. I know a couple years ago, I think it was the folk school, or it might have been up on the rock.
Shadow Cliff.
Thank
Shadow
you.
Cliff.
Gosh, I couldn't think of it. I was gonna say Cliff something, but Shadow Cliff had our techs go out and just demonstrate how Seki worked. I think it's so valuable. We live in such a beautiful area. I could get into geology with it. So just trying to promote our beautiful county and how amazing we are to live at the headwaters. So again, a lot of lofty goals, but that's why it's a 5-year plan and not a 5-month plan. All right, Elena. So coming up on May 8th, we're going to Granby Sanitation District, as well as the intake facility over by the hospital with all of the 8th graders in East Grand. We have some new lessons that we're trying out this year. Really excited about those. It's about aquifers, groundwater, which, a lot of individuals get their water from wells up here. So it seemed like a really great change in lesson plans there. And then May 22nd, I think you all have heard from Caitlin about the facility rentals here. She's on vacation right now, so I hope this isn't awkward. And now I'm just gonna ask for it. Oh, okay, good. The town has always been so helpful in donating those facilities for that day. It is a hoot and a holler to have Point Park just surrounded with second graders running around learning. They do everything from kayaking. We do a little watershed demonstration. Forest Service comes in, Rocky Mountain National Park comes in. There's 8 partners total. It's a really great day filled with fun and learning. So I did throw up in September, we do the rest of the education events. If anyone listening or anyone ever wants to just come out and see what the chaos is, feel free to reach out to education@gcwin.org. Caitlin will get back to you if you want to help out, if maybe you have some expertise in a field. We are always looking just to keep our education programs as enticing and relevant as possible for these next generation of water stewards. And just a couple pictures of some of the things we do. That's second grade right there. Good kids. Never thought I'd like a second grader, but they are fun. They do get my sarcasm sometimes. All right, Elena, if you're ready.
Maybe, hang on one second.
No worries. Again, so that's what we currently do, looking at what's next, what we defined through that strategic plan. Similar with the monitoring programs, we want to continue these conversations with teachers, making sure that what we're doing is relevant to their lessons, their goals, their outcomes. Everything we do, we align to a state standard. But as a teacher myself, I always want to make sure that it kind of extends into a bigger picture. So constantly having those conversations. Again, trying to leverage universities and other professionals, thinking of ways we can expand our offerings, maybe even get some grad students to come out, do some internship type things with us. I would love that. We are, in terms of outreach, thinking of renaming GC Win. It's for how long we've been here, it's not well known. And I think with the definition, it really was founded to be the data hub, so information network. I think with our monitoring programs and our education efforts, it is not an encompassing name. And so we've tossed around the idea of coming up with just a doing business as name, trying to rebrand, really get a little bit more community backing. So looking towards some music events this summer, trying to promote what we do. I enjoy public speaking, so I look forward to those days and just trying to increase the awareness of GC Win or whoever we are in the future. All right.
Next one.
Yep. And then the last one, collaboration. One of the things that I love the most is just all of the other entities, the professionals that GCWIN is affiliated with, and that not only help support us, but being in meetings with them, getting to learn from them, and being able to offer, whether it's field support or data that they may want or need for something that they're talking about. The collaboration piece has been really huge. And we all share, whether it's Northern or Denver or Learning by Doing or one of the sanitation districts, I think we all share that commonality of we care about the water here. Regardless of what goes on in terms of pumping and flow, there's there's environmental scientists on all of these teams and they care. And so it's one of those things where I think we need to really push for that collaboration opposed to the kind of combative views that I think sometimes take up the water law type conversation. I didn't say that eloquently, but I think you all get my gist. So if you want to go to the next one, Elena. Oh no, my first error, partnership. Increase partnerships, whether that's individuals. There's so many other community members or businesses that have a stakeholder view in terms of our water, or they just care. So again, those outreach efforts to try and increase the partnerships, leverage our data, leverage our education events, things like that. And then try to attend some bigger conferences, increase my expertise, which then can trickle out and help, find the most valuable field techs or that program manager, things like that. So again, it's not just for GC Win success, but we are involved in this community. We are a community servant here, and we want to ensure that we are providing those services for the long term. All right, I think I'm almost done, Elena.
Okay, you're good.
You're really good at going back and forth between typing and clicking.
You're-
It's like you've done this before. Funding. So this was kind of that fourth pillar, but again, I love data and I love numbers. I think in my next life, I'm going to be like a CPA or something. It sounds really enticing. But I did a deep dive into our budget over the past 20 years, and we kind of were on this trend of just surviving, which is fine for a nonprofit. But in terms of longevity, it wasn't productive to have new EDs every couple of years, new field techs that you're constantly having to train because it's just this summer job and then they're here for a season and then gone. So I really am taking a firm stance in making sure that yes, we're providing services at a valuable price, but again, we're staying competitive. We weren't even close to USGS. And so I've been looking at just leveraging some different strategies in increasing our funds that way through our monitoring programs, but also some philanthropic, that was a weird word, opportunities. Again, even just the music in the park nights. It's a great way to just meet people. We would love to expand, again, hire that watershed monitoring program manager. And then my biggest thing is I would love to give back to the members somehow. Whether it's a mug or something, right? Like, I don't know how to explain it, but I don't think that's why individuals give to a nonprofit, but I do think that it would be a nice gesture to be able to give some sort of thanks other than a thank you, something to show that appreciation. So some way of giving back. And then we do have a very diverse and engaged board of directors now. Evie, I don't know how to pronounce her last name. It starts with a G at Headwater Center is our newest board member. Love having her. She just brings a different perspective, being from her background as a nuclear scientist, I think was her degree. So she's great. And then all of the major funders have representation on the board. But it's a very collaborative board, and I'm very fortunate to have such a great one. Always looking for grant funding. Thank goodness for AI writing some intro grants for me, getting me started, because it's very difficult sometimes. And then, as always, ensuring transparency. So being, again, science backed, we never want to do something that allows there to be question about our methods and our procedures. We want to make sure that everything we do is very transparent, and people can trust that we're doing the right thing. I think it's the last one, Elena.
Right.
Yay. So again, I just want to thank the trustees and Mayor Burnquist, anyone who's listening. Thank you so much for having me. We also appreciate your constant support in terms of being a member of GC Win every year, and also helping fund the cyanobacteria monitoring efforts.
Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah.
That was a great presentation, and
Thanks.
you are a great community servant as you spoke to
Thank
that.
you.
So
Really
thank you very
appreciate it.
much.
Any other
Appreciate it.
last questions?
Any questions from the board?
Yeah, I kind of had some questions.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I can shoot a bunch here. Why not? You guys partner with Northern Water, correct?
Yep.
How much are you guys just providing data? Do you have any say in any decisions or anything that they ultimately do?
That's a great question. So they're a GC Win member. So similar to the town, they simply give to GC Win. Then separate from that, we are hired by them to do temperature and conductivity and SECI. So those are very separate contracts for field work. The SECI data is always uploaded to our database, again, publicly accessible. TNDC data is not uploaded. It's that I don't, it never has been. And I don't know if it's just we don't have a good import configuration for it or not, but I know it's in their database. In terms of being a voice in their decision making, I'm not sure I understand where you're.
I'm just, we got this anticipated influx of water moving through our bodies of water this upcoming summer.
Yeah.
With the completion of Chimney Hollow Reservoir.
Right.
So if anything were to, in your guys' eyes, seem to be
Gotcha.
alarming.
Gotcha.
Are you guys able to step
Yes.
in and say, whoa,
Good
ever?
Yeah. So good question. And thank you for clarifying.
Mhm.
So being nonpartisan, no, it is not my job to speak up and say, hey, I don't think we should be doing this. That is far above my pay grade. However, the data that we are collecting and that we are sharing in those weekly GLAM meetings build that conversation up amongst a bigger group of individuals that can have hearsay for that. So I don't directly have any say, nor do I think I want that. But rest assured that the data is being used to try and help understand what the impacts may be.
And then have you guys had any discussions about water related activities above the bodies of water? I know you guys kind of poke into the Monarch Lake area there with the creek coming in there, but anything in the Calanichi Valley that would interest you guys, or one of the north inlets or anything like that to take samples that would be any benefit to the organizations that you report to or anything like that?
So again, a great question, and that, it's a hefty question because there are so many other entities that do their own monitoring, whether it's USGS, BLM, Northern Water, Denver Water. LBD hires the individuals that do sediment monitoring and macroinvertebrate monitoring on many of those streams and rivers. So right now, the county just did their stream management plan, and there was a lot of talk about how robust Grand County's water data is. And so I can't think of anything where I'm thinking there's a hole missing. There were a few stream temperature sites that were marked by Lodic. They contracted to do the stream management plan. So up on Williams Fork, there were some stream temperature gaps up there. And so LBD increased their number of sites this year so that we could deploy new stream temperature monitoring sites up there. But I think that goes to show kind of that idea of having these conversations, whether it's with the town or a sanitation district or Northern Water or Denver Water, of, hey, is there anything we're missing? Or what else can we help provide in terms of service? So right now, I think the county is well versed in everything that we are collecting. Not to say that there couldn't be more, but that again would be that's taking that 290-page stream management plan and reading every word of it for me to have a good answer.
That's very good. Thanks for answering that.
Yeah.
Kyle.
Yeah.
Appreciate your enthusiasm on this. It's huge.
Thank you. Yeah, and I mean, great questions. I really appreciate it. So again, thank you all so much. I really do appreciate it. And hope to be back soon with a presentation on our new dashboard too.
Great. Thank you very much.
All right.
Kyle. Have a
Thanks.
good evening.
Thanks. You too.
Welcome, trustee Ornston. We need to move on to our trustee candidate interview. And we have Dennis Mills with us here this evening. Dennis, if you want to come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. And we'll give you a few minutes to tell us a little bit about yourself, and then
Sure.
we'll have some
Sure.
questions.
My name's Dennis Mills. I live at 505 Grand Avenue, 205. I've been in Grand Lake or Grand County since 2000. Been in Grand Lake for about 15 years now. I have a strong construction background. I've been in construction most of my life. I've done a lot of things before I moved up here. I was in charge of security for Denver Broncos for about 13 years. I've traveled the country and the world building stages for bands, which was a lot of fun when I was younger. Couldn't do it now. And I've been at the Rocky Mountain Repertory Theater for the last 15 years. My kids graduated from Middle Park High School and they went on to CU and they have good careers. And it's been great living up here. I care about what happens in this town, so that's why I'm here.
Great. Thank you. Trustees, what questions would you have for Dennis this evening and reading through listening to him?
How was your skills with like financial statements and budgets?
Oh, good. I create my own budget at the theater. I'm familiar and I know budgets are important. But yeah, I have a lot of experience with that, with budgets and looking at numbers. I'm good with numbers.
Okay.
The biggest one, what really pushed you to
Want to do this?
audition now versus early,
Well, I've always,
previous?
I've always wanted to, but here lately I kind of got pushed a little more. Seems like I know pretty much everybody in town, and I'm not sure why people confront me and ask me all the time what's going on in town and why is this happening and why is that happening, and sometimes I have some logical answers for them, but most times no. And I figured this is a good way to get involved and find out what is going on in this town and how I can help it. I like I said, I have a strong construction background. I think I can excel and help you guys with that part of it because I know you do a lot of building, a lot of contractors in here wanting to do things, and I understand all that. Yeah, I like to give back. I think it's important. I volunteer at the high school. I've been doing that for about 7 years now. I work with the kids in the theater department. I teach them how to build sets. I teach them how to use tools, basically, and how to read a tape measure. You'd be surprised how many kids don't know how to read a tape measure. So, but I enjoy that too. That's do 3 shows a year at the high school. So it keeps me busy.
At the theater, do you do similar stuff as well? Not the showing them how to read a tape measure, but working on the sets. So what are your daily roles at the theater there?
I'm the facilities manager. I take care of all their properties. I make all the repairs. If the repairs require a licensed electrician or a licensed plumber or something, I'll get them on it. But most everything I do around there, I do help out with I give them advice on how to build things sometimes. They don't usually ask for it, and I don't offer it, but when they do, I'm all over it. So, but all of our housing and everything, we've gone from cabins that were falling into the ground to spearheading, getting the theater to raise the money and build new housing for our employees. And we've got some pretty good housing there. At least they're not going to fall down soon. So.
In your letter here, you mentioned you understand the issues of concern in the town. Could you maybe highlight on what you think those issues of concern are?
Well, I know a lot of it's building. I know there's contractors want variances, and I know there's issues, and there's a lot of bickering going on back and forth from the way what I hear out on the boardwalk, whether or not what I hear is true or not, I'm not quite sure. And that's another reason I'm here, to find out what's going on. And I think I can help. I bring in a different element. I'm a very logical person. And I think that's a good thing, I think, to be logical, especially when it comes to town policies. And
I have one to bounce off of that because that was also one of mine. When you see the future of Grand Lake with being here as long as you have and the new construction of even the RMRT and their building, their housing and what people are wanting to do, what do you see for Grand Lake? What do you think the people on the boardwalk that you talk to see it wanting to be as well?
yeah, I think long term, like to see this town more of a year-round resort, a destination, as well, because it is a destination. You have to want to come here. You're not just driving by it on the highway and say, "Oh, let's stop in the Grand Lake." So I'd like to see more things going on in the winter and more fun things in the summer. I think the summers are great. There's so much to do here, but end of October, it's like a ghost town. I'd like to see that change a little bit. And I'm not quite sure how to do that.
And what did you think about the changes this winter with the events that we had?
I thought it was great. The joining, that was great. I think everything was great. We need to bring more in that. I've always thought maybe snow sculptures, ice sculptures, but those guys want to get paid. So I know there's money involved with that, and I'm not, don't know how if the town could afford to give out prizes. But I think the ice sculptures are cool. I go to every year at the Breckenridge and look at them. I think it's and there's ice fishing, snowmobiling. When I was coming up here when I was out of high school and meet my parents up here, I'd come into town in the winter and the whole town was just filled with snowmobiles. And, that was a thing then, but it seems like it's not anymore. And I think that's how the town survived in the winter back then. So.
Trustees, anything else? No? Mayor Pro Tem?
Don't believe so.
Okay. Thank you, Dennis.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Mhm.
And at this point, and so you understand when I'm asking questions, I'm new at this position.
Okay.
as well.
Yeah, I know you.
Where do we go from here with
So when we get to the regular
meeting, then we'll
agenda,
address it then, if
correct.
there isn't any.
which is
discussion or
item
anything.
10A.
Okay, all right, all right.
Okay.
Well, that's all that we have. You may have a seat. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right.
And we'll address the rest of this at the general meeting at 6 o'clock. Okay. Do you have anything for us?
Nope, that's what we have.
Okay.
Is Pearl's out of town, so we had a stand-in chef. You can thank Melissa for taking care of that. Is it about ready?
Probably in like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. About 6.
Okay.
We have lasagna tonight.
Okay, well, wonderful. We'll go ahead and adjourn the regular workshop meeting for the town of Grand Lake and we'll resume 6 o'clock. Okay. We'll start now.
You're good to go.
Thank you. Good evening. It's 6 o'clock on April 28th. Thank you to those of you that are joining in town hall and those of you that are joining on Zoom. I'd like to call this regular meeting for the town of Grand Lake Board of Trustees to order. If you would stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under announcements, please silence your phones or any other devices at this time. Remember, we are recording. Any conversation you need to have, please take it outside. The recordings will be available for your review within the next 24 to 48 hours. I have nothing else. You'll notice three of our trustees are here today. We have two absent. If I could have a motion to approve their absence today. We have trustee Schroner and trustee Casso who are absent.
I move to excuse trustee Schroner and trustee Casso from tonight's regular meeting.
I have a motion
I'll second.
and a second. Please pull the board.
Trustee Orson,
Aye.
trustee Miller,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Silva.
Aye.
Mayor Berquist.
Aye. Ms. Carroll, would you please pull the board for conflicts of interest?
Trustee Miller,
No conflicts.
trustee Orson,
No conflicts.
Mayor Pro Tem Silva,
None.
and Mayor Berquist.
And I have none. Hand it over to our manager for his manager's report.
As the snow is melted, you'll see public works, birds, bears coming back. It's time to remember and remind our community that trash kills bears. We don't feed the wildlife that never ever been moose. It's really cold in the water. Yes, animals live here all the time, and no, you cannot pet a moose, even the friendly ones. Grand Places 2050, I met with the Grand Places team. It's a group of partners that discuss the future of our visitors' access and amenities within the forest and the park.
Steve.
Now I can talk quieter. Within the park, Grand Places 2050, one of the important things that we were able to have a discussion about was with the National Forest as well as representatives from the National Park Service. As I have said a couple of times, the Park Service is going to continue to receive their allotment of part-time summer people. The forest is much different. Unfortunately, they are going to get none of their seasonals. They are hoping for maybe 2 interns and a possibility of a nonprofit forest crew to come help them with down trees and that sort of stuff. Short of those volunteers, there will be 3 people staffing the Arapahoe National Forest this summer. When the question was asked about water enforcement and enforcement in the forest, don't expect it. They'll be chasing around other things that won't allow them to get to that. One of the things that was discussed was they may not have the resources to do like some of the basic utility work. And we've talked to Matt, and what I'm looking to get for you is an estimate of what it would cost towns parks to maintain the hilltop bathrooms as well as the East Shore trailheads. Those are typically maintained by the forest. We do maintain the Point Park bathrooms already. So Took time, came and removed all of the seasonal lights. We're going to miss those twinkly things for a while. They also were able to get Will Street at the end of Grand fixed. It is amazing how many people recognized when that tree, what are you going to do about the tree? It's only lit a third of the way. Remember both the Three Lakes Water and Sanitation District, the Grand Lake Metropolitan District are holding their board elections the first week of May. You should have been mailed some. And I think with the water and sand, you have to go request one at their office.
And drop it off there.
Yeah. Mayor managers meeting with the Grand County Association of Realtors happened the Thursday before Easter. And it was a good opportunity to share issues related to housing needs in the private market. I've attached a recent report on Grand Lake that was provided by them for us. Parking improvements on Mountain have started. We're looking to add 20 spaces. You can actually see that it looks like parking now instead of dirt piles. We have informed all of the impacted residents what we're going to be doing. Excuse me.
Did anyone reply?
Hmm?
Did anyone reply to those notices?
No. They actually the Goings, who is 1008, who's building the add-on, they wanted to know what their access was going to look like. Road patching is still going on. There's a couple holes that have already been dug, getting ready for foundations. Both of them have pretty substantial price tags. You want to be in the Memorial Day parade? We
All
want you
of
to be in
us.
the Memorial Day parade, trustees, mayor.
What does
Mayor
that
Pro
look
Tem.
like?
Excuse me, we will have a trailer. We'll have a trailer set up with hay and bunting. And you get to sit there and wave, throw candy.
We're gonna get our hats.
Uh-huh.
Our cowboy hats.
Oh, yes, we'll go get branded cowboy hats.
Deal.
If it's cold, we can all fit in my car. The fire truck on the top. Thank you.
One of the items
And we'll be-
that we'll be talking about later today is canceling the meeting on the 26th. I've also been asked about possible times for the board retreat. With that week possibly having,
Oh,
I do apologize. I'm almost done talking. Would you consider a board retreat May 28th to 30th? That's Thursday and Friday.
That's what we,
Instead, that's Memorial Day, but if we cancel the Memorial Day meeting,
yeah,
then we wouldn't have a board meeting on the 26th.
I'm gonna be in Mexico the following day.
The following day?
After my world.
Oh,
will you be around?
Are we talking about that now?
Mhm.
Oh,
Just
okay,
brief,
I
yeah.
thought that was the introduction. Yeah, yes. Looking at it, yes. 28th, 29th, 30th.
Yeah.
The morning dentist, we start late enough, yeah.
Trustee Ernst, what do you, your
I'm
schedule look like?
Currently working 28, 29. So,
how about the following? We'll still check with.
Trustee Schroner and trustee
The
Casso.
following week's great one.
End of that first week of June.
Yeah.
I don't do digital calendars, I'm
Yeah.
old
You
school.
need your book.
You're
Um,
not old enough to be.
is it Thursday, the 7th? Is the town picnic? Okay,
Correct.
we could do that 5 and 6 if you wanted to.
Adjourn, go to that, and then. Who's putting that together? I don't know.
Which part?
The community picnic.
All of us.
Events manager.
Okay, I'm just thinking if,
Yeah, no, that's pretty much done.
We volunteered you on that committee.
what's that?
We volunteered you on that.
I
committee.
figured, yeah.
You're doing cookies.
Yeah.
So right now you'll be out of town, you're working. So we could look at June 5th and 6th, then we'll discuss with Casso and Schroner.
Is that the same circumstance for you?
Nope.
You're off?
Yeah, my shit moves every week. That's why I don't have any clue what day of the week it is.
Got it. Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
and you're finished? Okay, next is public comments. This is a time for unscheduled comments. This time is reserved for members of the public to make a presentation to the board on any items or issues that are not scheduled on the agenda. The board will not discuss or debate these items, nor will the board make any decisions on these items presented. Rather, the board will refer to the items to staff for follow-up. If a member wishes to make comments regarding items up for decision by the Board of Trustees on the agenda, time will be allocated at the beginning of each non-quasi judicial item. For items of a quasi judicial nature, time will be allocated during the public hearing conducted for that time. If you will please notice the clock, excuse me, clock above. Please be mindful of the 3 minutes of time given to each individual. If there's anyone in our audience that would like to come up and speak, now is the time. Thank you for being here. I'm not hearing anything at this time. Next, we'll move on to the consent agenda. This is where we, the board, consider tasks that are of a regular nature and for record-keeping purposes. If a board member wishes to consider any of these items individually, that is appropriate to do so. If you guys would like to take a look at the agenda, I'll entertain action or be ready for questions or comments.
Are these outside committees and boards correct? I feel like there might be something incorrect. I don't see your name, Mary.
Where, hold on, let me
That
pull
would
it
be
up.
page 24.
Give me 1 second.
I can look at my manager's report as well and make sure that we add that. She's part of the mayor manager's commissioners meeting, and then she's
Northwest
also
COG, yeah.
Northwest COG.
It's labeled as trustee Arnson on here. That's why that's what caught my eye there too.
Okay.
So
I think that's,
I got them
and then
twisted.
what's you're just the financial trustee?
For now. I didn't try to pull that Northwest.
The long-standing financial trustee, it's
But
okay.
I have no idea.
So that's the only thing I saw. So I
Okay.
guess I'll just make that. If you
No.
want,
Yep.
So on the MUD architecture bills, are we up to date on everything?
Yes.
anything else?
And we submit for grant reimbursements at the end of this meeting.
Okay.
and have there been previous reimbursements?
4,000.
4,000
This one's 170.
previous to like 2025, have there been?
No, the first one was made on the DOLA grant at the first cycle. So it was spent, but it was the end of January when we did it. So we received the reimbursement in February.
Okay, so for this whole project, the first reimbursement came in 2025, correct?
It was
Prior
within
to-
30 days.
From the DOLA grant, from the Stronger Communities grant that we contracted at the end of October 2024.
Yeah, and you're talking this section of the project,
Yeah.
not like the entire.
I'm just making sure since the conversation started in 2020 and 2021 that there have been reimbursements.
Yeah, the town has paid out over $450,000 in pre-development costs, and all of that was reimbursed. That was under a different program,
Correct, yeah, I'm just,
but yes,
Yeah.
we have not
I'm keeping track
incurred
of
any
it now,
substantial
but
costs, correct?
I wasn't keeping track of it pretty diligently up until now, so that was my.
I took a look at all of those payouts beginning of the year.
Yeah, if we could eventually get a line item of that.
Sure.
That would be something I'd really appreciate. I like spending money and not getting it back, so.
Yeah. The only thing worse is spending money and not getting value for it.
Trustees, anything else?
So can we make a motion to approve both?
Yeah,
Full
just
consent.
still do the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve that consent agenda for April 28th, 2025.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Please pull the board.
Trustee Arnson,
Aye.
trustee Miller,
Aye.
trustee Cobb,
Aye.
and Mayor Berkowitz.
Aye. Motion passes. We'll move on to the financial review, financial statements ending March 31st of 2025.
Thank you. Trustees, with the packet, I was able to provide to you the 31-page combined cash investment ending March 31st, 2025. Sunday afternoon, I received from our contract accountant the second statement that you are used to receiving, which is a statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes to the fund balance that also provides the percentage of the variance to the budget year to date, as well as specific notes relating to the items. That's a 7-page overview. It also includes the specific enterprise funds.
That was emailed.
Pardon?
That was emailed.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was emailed by the clerk this afternoon. And then I was also able to receive from the treasurer the bank cash balances, fund balances in a spreadsheet form. The one report that you are used to seeing over the past couple of years, which was in addition to these, that was provided to you 5 times last year, was a spreadsheet financial that also had year-over-year comparisons. I'll be getting those to you. What was most important, though, that I wanted to make sure that you were aware of, and it goes to the fact that our revenues run 2 months behind. So revenues that are generated in January are collected by the state in February and paid to the town in March. So for the statements ending March 31st, we had $122,366 in sales tax revenue. That was a 3.7% year-over-year increase, and it was the highest January revenue ever recorded by the town of Grand Lake. Going to the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes. I would say I believe that some of that increase that we received in January came because of the way the first rolled, that we actually had a pretty good retail first, second, and third, where oftentimes if it falls earlier in the week, people are gone by the second.
Weekends.
Yeah, there were 5. We haven't reviewed the February numbers yet, and those just came in the middle of this month. I expect February to look a little lower because it had fewer weekends, but then March should be real big because we had the ski touring event that really did a boost. Looking at when I did a review of both the revenues and the expenditures, nothing really stood out for me specifically to call your attention to. Some of the issues that we're still kind of working on adjusting are making sure that we actually have the dollars allocated properly between the different departments. So that's one of the areas. Ms. Kirkpatrick also did a full excuse me, reconciliation of all of our accounts. And she has verified that with me. Any question on the financials?
So the amount you have with the original budget, is that the whole 12-month budget?
Pardon?
That's the whole 12-month.
Yes.
And then versus 3 months of actions.
Yeah.
Then there'll be the percentage there too.
Right. So that the expenditures are current,
Okay.
but the revenues, some of those revenues show stronger
Yeah.
than others, but we're 2 months lagging.
And some of it's like the nightly rental licenses.
Yes.
Do we get that all in one particular time?
It's kind of spread out. It started to spread out last year.
Okay.
Used to all be. for
January
one
1st.
day.
Yeah, so we had like 117 for the year, but 1,067 for the quarter.
Yeah.
So Scott, marijuana tax, do we know when that starts? No.
I actually just spoke with him today and their plan is to be open hopefully by Memorial Weekend. If everything goes accordingly with their certificate of occupancy and for ramp, that I think starts next week, he said. We're getting closer.
Okay,
They did get their sign out there though.
I did see that. Oh.
Anything else on the financial review?
One other thing I should mention on the finances. Our water billing was completed this month for the first time without Heike. And we were able to bill all of the water users by the 15th. All of the postcards were mailed out. Unfortunately, those that had email that were on the non-card that those emails hadn't been talking to the billing company, and after 8 to 10 hours with customer support, all that billing has been transferred into the electronic system properly, and the emails are all scheduled to go out tonight. So we're still getting them out with 15 days before the majority of those people that are electronic are also auto pay. So that auto pay is already scheduled.
So auto pay was fine.
Yeah,
It's just people who got their bills.
They just didn't get their-
email.
yeah, the ones that didn't get a card haven't got their notice yet. They'll get it tomorrow. But the auto pay is all scheduled. In fact, the auto pay revenue calculations have already come in.
I was gonna ask about. Scroll to the-
Thank you.
one second. It appears that it's all in the wages and stuff, the. Medical benefit allowance, workers' comp and social security match and stuff.
Yes,
Well, maybe not the social security. Or like triple or budgeted stuff already. Do we have any info on that?
For what?
Well, this one is tied, the current one I'm looking at is in administration. Medical benefit allowance, we budgeted 10 grand and we're up to 32 something already. And it's
that isn't right.
on the April, so. The next one down, workers' comp is 35,000 over. Sorry, guys, page 39.
It's a different skill.
Yeah, I was wondering if like that was because they upped our workers' comp or anything like that?
No.
If that was actually payouts.
Hmm.
And then it appears, and maybe it's how it went in. But the public works has generally the same thing going on.
They're all distributed based upon the same payroll report. One of the,
Well, like the percentages are reading like 4,000% of our budget.
I'll take a look at that.
I'm
Looking at
the ones the Steve just gave out of this package, that's a different one than that.
Oh, this is in the actual packet. Or you're just on
Yeah.
a 7-pager? Yeah, if you go back to the. That was the addition.
Okay.
We'll find out. I was gonna pull up the current payroll reports to tell you how much.
Okay. 72 pages.
Looking at the pack. Didn't see that. This one?
I'll get you an answer.
Okay.
We've seen that in each department there, Mike.
Thought in those two for sure.
Yeah, I see that. I'm just seeing if we've got no water yet.
Typically, so what I'm looking at right now is looking at the most recent payroll. And it looks like we pay out about $5,000 a paycheck in the Social Security. The Medicare is a little over 1,000. So most of our payroll runs are very similar. So just looking at those numbers,
We haven't had anybody fill out with what compared.
no, that's a different, that isn't a benefit payment. That's a whole different line pay. So I'll have to find where it's at.
Thank you for addressing
Okay.
that.
Good find, Mike.
Yes.
So what I'm gonna do is two things is I'll pull you a payroll cost report. So that comes out of paychecks so that you can see that raw number. And then we'll also make the adjustments to these. Any other questions with the financials?
Just kind of budgeted for the boat rentals, $730,000 in rentals. That's what we do.
No, it's 439,000. The budget was 436,000 for 2025.
Seeing 730,000.
Sounds like a fund balance.
And then tours 146,000. That seems like,
What was the?
Is what's budgeted, you're saying?
yeah. Yeah, marina. Rentals, revenues.
Yeah, it says
we
730.
budgeted that we're gonna bring in almost $1 million in marina. I love that.
That wouldn't fit in with a $3 million budget either. I mean, it wouldn't add. So
Yeah. Yeah,
just because I've been looking very closely at marina budgets over the last 4 years and costs and expenses with working with our new marina director, that these items are important. It almost sounds like they're double.
That's what I would say. You know,
Okay.
looks reasonable on that one. This one.
Something's coming up as the pay as you throw bags purchase budget is 150,000 as well.
So I'll have to look at it because the 7-page statement of revenues expenditures shows 440. So I'll have to see why it didn't translate, because the one that is on the 7-page one
Yeah.
is right.
Nothing, got it. Okay. Anything else you guys want to point out for Manager Kudron to look into?
We're gonna get this right, guys.
I'll look at it afterwards and send me.
Do you think a lot of this is just the links between Cassell and?
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of trouble with it. That's why you haven't got these reports yet.
Okay.
One of the things on my this week, I still don't have the availability to pull these reports myself. And by the end of this week, both of these reports I'll be able to pull by myself. It just means I have to sit with Cassell for 3 hours.
Currently, you're having to.
But I'll get that done because that these numbers aren't working doesn't make sense. I don't like that.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and if there's nothing else, do you have anything else specifically? I would look for action on this item under financial review this time.
Moving on.
But yeah, how should, I wouldn't.
It's a review. There aren't
Yeah,
any
yeah.
approvals. This is just a review.
Yeah, okay.
The only
That
thing-
was my
That's
question.
my,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, then we'll move on to items of discussion. And our first is consideration of resolution 2025, a resolution appointing a new trustee to fill a vacancy on the Grand Lake Board of Trustees. Thank you, Elena.
Due to Mayor Kudron's official resignation from the Board of Trustees, this has created an unexpected vacancy that needs to be addressed promptly to ensure continued governance and representation with the board. I received a letter of interest from Dennis Mills by the set deadline of April 16th, 2025 at 4:30 p.m. The applicant was verified as a registered elector of the town of Grand Lake, at least 18 years of age, and has resided in the town of Grand Lake for a period of at least 12 consecutive months immediately preceding the date of appointment. The board interviewed the candidate during the workshop and must be followed by the appointment at tonight's evening meeting. When a vacancy occurs on the Board of Trustees, the next steps are dictated by both Colorado revised statute and municipal code. The language of the state statute dictates a timeline for filing a vacancy, which deadlines have been met. Let's see. Whoever selected to fill the vacancy will only fill the vacancy until a successor is elected in the April 2026 election, which means that's a total of 5 seats that I'll have up April of next year. So it'll be a biggie.
So this is a 1-year term.
It's to the next election
election.
cycle.
Mhm.
So all the appointments that have been done expire the next
Shawna,
election
Miller,
cycle.
And me, April
And-
20th.
And the mayor,
And you.
because you're timed, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure about Christine.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone. And that's what I have. I have Mr. Mills here. If you'd like to ask him any further questions.
Thank you. And the board was able during the workshop this evening to speak with Dennis Mills. And so if anyone has any more questions for him or you have any more comments, please come up or I'll entertain action on this item.
Mayor.
Yes,
Oath of office is also in your purple folder.
I saw that. Thank you. Would like to discuss anything?
In the past, we did the pieces of paper for this.
Would you like to do that again?
And do we, if there's just one?
Yeah, there's just.
We could,
It's up to you guys. I'll do whatever you want.
throw some pieces of paper
Okay,
at the mayor.
For just how we've
Okay.
always done it, I felt like
all right. We'll keep with
tradition.
tradition and the way we usually do it, and
We better share some stuff.
thank you.
Where you want to do this?
After watching us this evening and
Anything yet? Sorry.
I'm gonna be on the lookout for the fire trucks at the pot shop. You just walk across the street.
excuse me.
Alrighty, so it looks like we have 3 yeses and 1 nay.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. You're approved. As a new trustee, let me grab my,
Mess this one up.
I know, I'm really excited about this, Dennis. I've been read this several times, but I've never.
Oh, you play them over everybody.
Okay.
You may not. Or,
All right, this is your oath of office.
oh, you already said like Brian's.
Just repeat after me. I, Dennis Mills, do solemnly swear or affirm
Do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the ordinance of the Town of Grand Lake,
the ordinance of the Town of Grand Lake.
sorry,
Colorado.
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to do the same,
Bear true faith and allegiance to do the same.
that I take this obligation freely
I take this obligation freely
and without any mental reservations
without any mental reservations
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
that I will well and faithfully
perform the duties of the office of trustee
perform the duties of office of trustee.
for the Town of Grand Lake, Colorado.
Colorado.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with you.
And that's now you get a computer and a name badge and.
Yep,
Business card.
see me after.
So you've got a lot of badges to do.
Yeah, we have a whole slew of methods, yes.
Because the mayor's gonna meet hers and she does her speech for Memorial Day.
Oh, I know. Yep, we're on it.
So you don't forget.
Bringing 9 news in.
I'm always so emotional for that event.
Boom, boom, boom.
And,
No, we-
oh, did it lean off? Yeah.
She's supposed to do that on horses.
Oh, and we're moving on to the next item for
Hold on a
discussion.
second. Do we have to make a motion for the resolution 25 or is just taking the vote? Okay,
It's a vote.
this vote,
Yeah.
okay, all right. I'll make sure, thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Mills, there's a red button on your,
Perfect.
and the audience on the computer is always going to ask you to speak loud and clear into the mic.
Yes, yes. Okay, so next item of discussion is consideration of approval for a special use permit and special event permit needed for camping, parking, and noise ordinance for the Colorado Headwater Festival, July 9th through the 12th of 2026. And we have Andrew McConaughey
Cooper
and Evan
and-
and Cooper all online for this. So Elena, do you want to,
Actually, it's
or
Brian.
Brian, you're going to take this? Thank you, Brian.
Yeah.
So my name is Brian Crockey. I'm the Code Enforcement Officer and Permit Technician for the town of Grand Lake. And I am presenting, as was mentioned before, a special use permit and special event permit approval needed for camping, parking, and noise ordinance for the Colorado Headwaters Festival, July 9th through the 12th of 2026. So this is next year. And the purpose, this memo provides an overview of 3 key municipal code variances need to be approved for the Colorado Headwaters Festival to be held again July 9th through the 12th of 2026, specifically regarding camping and parking on public property and unnecessary noise variances for the Board of Trustees information and consideration. And the background is following ordinances were enacted to maintain public order and to ensure the well-being of residents and visitors within the town of Grand Lake. And those codes are unnecessary noise, camping on public property prohibited, and parking on public right-of-way. So Yarmany Music LLC is requesting a variance to the town of Grand Lake Municipal Code 7-1-16, allowing the music event to end at 11 o'clock p.m. as opposed to 10 o'clock p.m. curfew outlined in the municipal code. Yarmany Music LLC is requesting a variance to the town of Grand Lake Municipal Code 7-6-15, allowing the festival attendees to camp on public and private spaces. And specifically, those spaces are the Trinity Church in the Pines, 604 Lake Avenue, and that is the horse pasture southeast of the church, which has been approved by Pastor Dave Heidel. Also, the Grand Lake Rec Center baseball field and playground located at 610 Center Drive. This needs the Board of Trustees approval. Yarmany Music LLC is requesting variance to the town of Grand Lake Municipal Code 7-10-2, allowing the festival attendees to park on public and private spaces. And those currently being investigated are on-street parking throughout town, RV parking at 1128 Park Avenue, which is located at Park Avenue in Hancock on the corner, and at the water tank off County Road 663, which is also considered in the North Inlet trailhead.
Thank you, Brian. Trustees, what questions do you have for Brian? And then we can pull in any of the other organizers when we're ready.
Did they look at campground sites in the area and there's not enough? What is the?
These would be considered overflow. I mean, that's obviously they're going to look at the campgrounds and whatnot in the area, but they're expecting and they're thinking there'll probably be about 2,000 people that are going to be showing. So the campgrounds in the area will be another option.
And so if we allow camping, there's no fires,
I'm sorry?
there's no campfires, there's no.
I believe the camping at Trinity will allow for a campfire there, but not on the ball field. So not on the public spaces, but on the private.
As long as there isn't a fire ban or anything like that, the church has given them permission.
Are they gonna supply outhouses for?
Yes.
Bodies for these, and is somebody designated to clean up these areas when they're done?
Yes, all the facilities will be supplied
With security.
with security as well.
Is it? Just because I I'm either skipping over it or I can't understand. Is there 2 nights of music? Or
So
it's,
there's one night of music,
all right, so it's listing 3 days,
right? So the 9th is
like they're
the loading
first
day.
set up.
The 10th is the Saturday, which is the night of the music. And then Sunday will be the end of the festival and close out.
Hi, guys. This
But
is
they're
Andrew
expecting to have
from-
camping those 3 days.
Can you guys hear me?
I'm saying 4 days, Mike.
So there'll be music each day, just one night.
Yeah, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Correct.
I'm like, wait a second.
Can you guys hear me?
So music just one night.
Yeah, but during the day,
So,
Correct.
so I guess the question being there.
I can hear you, Andrew.
If
Uh,
we've got one
it,
night.
it is 2 nights. It's 2 nights of music with a day of setup and a
Possibly
day of
approving
teardown on each end.
3 nights worth of camping for 4 days. And why would we need to approve 2 additional days worth of camping if there's only one night of music?
So again, the first night is the load in. So that will most likely not have any camping. That would be for the roadies, the musicians, the managers and whatnot. Then Saturday is when the festival begins. So there is possibility of people coming in the day before and camping. So yes, there would be Friday night and then Saturday night, obviously. So
Do they have any numbers of roughly or percentage wise of their attendees that are camping in the area?
I can hear you, Andrew.
let's ask.
Yes.
Is there anyone
Yeah, I don't know why they
Yeah,
can't hear me.
we've got
Andrew?
Andrew.
Yep, can you hear me?
One
Bear with us
second,
a second
Andrew,
here.
we
got to turn
can't.
up the volume.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, okay, we can hear you now.
Awesome. Yeah, so the day on each side, Thursday is for the setup, and then takedown would be on Sunday, with the main event being Friday and Saturday. So it is 2 days of music.
2 days.
That's what I thought.
And do you have any idea? So you're effectively asking to open up camping on public and private ground in town for a minimum of 3 nights.
Friday, they would arrive. Sunday, they would leave.
Yeah. So do you have any idea how many people or a percentage of the attendees that would be looking to do that? Are we looking at all 2,000 people trying to camp? Or is
No,
it
no, we're looking at probably 200 minimum, I would think. And that most people will be in hotels, Airbnbs, VRBOs, and have non-camping lodging. So I would only anticipate a small number of people of the total that would be looking to camp.
What about event staff? Is that something that you guys are planning on having in these campsites, or is that hotels, Airbnbs, VRBOs?
There's probably a volunteer aspect that would involve camping, but then most of the staff would be in hotels or Airbnbs or RVs.
Well, Brian, this is a variance.
Correct.
Do we need to post it and have community input on this?
Yes, we will.
Okay.
So the letters that we did get from, let's say, the yacht club here and Trinity Church, those weren't solicited. They just sent those in because they knew about it, or trying to see how those entities.
So the letter from the pastor was granting permission to camp there.
Correct.
And also the letter from the yacht club was for
But they didn't receive any
I would assume
notice.
that Andrew, I'm assuming that you guys contacted the church and or the yacht club just to address parking and camping issues with them already?
That's correct. They've each got some stipulations. You know, we want security on site at the yacht club to prevent any unauthorized access of the property. That was one of the stipulations, and the other stipulation was just that we only use up to 8 parking spots. And so we've agreed. Both parties have agreed to those stipulations, and everyone is excited about the event coming to town and has been really easy to work with. So it's been pretty smooth so far.
Would you guys like to start with the timing?
Yeah.
and the event music ending at 11. Do you have any questions about that on?
Andrew, what time would the music start on the days? Just to get a reference.
On Friday, I believe the main stage would start at 5 p.m. On Saturday, we have what we call the floating stage, which is Doris, the fireworks barge that we are going to anchor in the marina facing the beach. And that will start at noon on Saturday and run until 4. And then the main stage would start again at 5 p.m. on Saturday. And there's no music in the event space on Thursday or Sunday.
Have we granted extended noise?
I don't
Ever?
remember any.
I honestly don't think it's ever been brought before you guys.
I don't remember anything.
What's gonna be on the floating stage? The band?
It's more of an
Correct.
acoustic event. So there will be people playing, so it'll be on Doris.
Okay.
The
Fireworks barge.
float that we use, the barge, right, the barge that we use for the fireworks, we're gonna pull that over and anchor that to the L dock. And they will be performing there so that people can enjoy it in the water as well.
Oh,
Correct. Yeah, mainly acoustic music, but fun in the sun, basically.
but people can enjoy it in the water, in the beach?
Correct.
Yes.
Well, we're closing the beach so you have to have a ticket.
For the second half of the day.
Right, so starting at, correct me if I'm wrong, 4 o'clock. Is when they'll close it off and then you'll have to have tickets. If you're already there, then you won't need a ticket, but once the gates are closed. To gain access, then you'll have to have a ticket to get in.
I was under the assumption if you were there, you have to leave.
I'm sorry?
If you're there, do you have to leave?
No,
Yeah.
If you're in, well, let's get clarification. If you were in the public spaces, because it becomes a ticketed event, you will have to
You have to leave.
exit.
Yeah, they would have to exit probably just to have their wristband scanned once the area was secured. But there's a break at 4 o'clock and then an hour for that to happen. We have to.
Are the bands
we have
playing
to-
all? Sorry, are the band's playing all the way until 10 o'clock, or is that kind of like,
11.
or I'm sorry, 11 o'clock?
It would be the whole time from 5 until 11. Well, on Saturday, noon to 4, hour break, 5 to 11. On Friday, 5 to 11.
For the 5 to 11 time, is it one band? Is there a set change where there's an hour break?
There's several different bands, depending on what time the curfew is, of course. And we would potentially involve Charlie's or one of those outdoor spaces to play what they call tweener sets, which would be after the floating stage is over for the day. But for the most part, the main focus is the floating stage and the main stage there in the marina. But the idea is to try to have continuous music, although there will be a set break occasionally by nature.
Then can people come and go?
Yep. People, there is reentry, so you can go eat dinner in town. You can go back to your campsite. Go ride your bike back to the ball field. Absolutely, there's reentry the whole time.
Is there any other events on the books for that weekend?
Any more questions about the 10 p.m. to 11 p.m.? Then the public-private spaces, the church has agreed
The RV parking, I do not see any letters of approval
I
for,
think that's the one that it's Buck's letter from the yacht club, but the letter of approval is for the lot right here behind the sagebrush, 1128.
is
We
letters for
that lot is owned
Yeah.
by it has several owners, and so Buck was confident that they would all be okay with it, but we did not have the time to get a permission letter from all of the owners yet. But like I said, he did not foresee that being an issue.
It's the boxed in section.
Correct. I understand which one it is, but the church provided a letter of approval. The two private properties also in question here have not provided any sort of
We have a
approval.
verbal, but
Yeah.
wanted to.
Yeah, it's definitely an on paper thing before.
We can certainly get it on paper.
If you can hear me, I had a couple things to note.
Hi, Matt.
Hello. On the map, and I know I discussed this with Steve earlier, but it says ball field parking. That is going to be closed here shortly and be the pay as you throw.
We've discussed the pay as you throw and knowing that that possibility is there. However, we don't have confirmation. We felt like we could leave that open as a possibility until we know what the state will do with the recycling program. Do you have another take on that?
My impression is it'll be locked in the evenings, but that's yeah. Regardless of the recycling program, that's my impression. And so that's why we're putting in the gates, but that's subject to change, obviously.
I mean, if there's dumpsters in there and it's blocked off, there's dumpsters in there, there's no camping. It's pretty
Correct.
much
Right.
all said and done.
It's like
Yeah.
bait for the bears.
Just a bunch of raccoons. We don't have, thank God.
The other issue that we have had is the overflow parking section that we also call Mary Drive. It's across from the Conoco.
Yeah, that'll be the visitor center.
Yes, that is going to be a visitor center through the Rocky Mountain National Park. And so for the Harmony event, that will probably not be available. Just so you guys are aware.
Yeah, we had discussed that
Okay.
as potentially a very, very, very last resort kind of thing. But
Okay.
we decided to keep it on there in case it did become an option. Obviously, funding for that kind of thing is relatively on pause. So we decided to just keep it in there, but that is duly noted and all
Okay,
good.
I just wanted to make sure you were aware of that just in case it did happen.
All good. And what was the area that you guys were talking about having gates put in? Was that behind the car wash?
Correct. That area there was scheduled to be our trash pay as you throw and recycling program property. And with the state, the recycling program has changed quite a bit, but that could still possibly by 2026 be a trash with dumpsters and whatnot. So that may not be available for parking either.
Yeah, that was another property that Buck had suggested. But all good as well.
Okay.
And he also did mention that was also there was co-ownership. So while we did not have written approval at this moment in time, he did not seem to think that would be an issue.
Which property?
Which property are you mentioning?
The parking lot behind the car wash.
He's talking
Part
about
of it
the,
was owned by the town.
Buck's property by the car wash.
yeah,
Oh,
he's talking about the little
owns a
sliver.
25-foot strip. Yeah,
He owns a 25-foot strip.
yeah.
Yes.
He owns a lot between the fence and the car wash.
Okay, yeah. Well, it's not very big, I guess.
That's why we wanted to clarify that. The
Got it.
larger piece is the town property that is for the trash and recycle. There's a very small strip in between there that is owned just by Buck. That's the 25-foot strip.
Well, maybe we need that 25 feet. We'll see.
No vehicle access to it currently either, just FYI.
Yeah, there's a ditch or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ditch and private property.
Okay. Um,
Andrew, do you have like a number? I mean, when it comes to camping here, you gave us this outline of a certain amount of people. I mean, do you have like a per square foot number of people that we could use for reference for this? To get us in an idea of how much space is needed, because I mean, now we're just like starting to just search for properties that can hold people, and we need to know how much space is needed. I know as much as possible is great, but having an idea of, well, you know, when it comes to camping and a car, and you know, when you look at music festivals that are in, you know, hay fields and stuff like that. I mean, what are you looking at for square footage? Is kind of a number I'd like to see here.
Evan, can you speak to that at all? Let's see if he's there. Evan, can you hear me? There we go.
Yep, sorry, I was just unmuting myself. Yeah, so we're looking at around, for the math purposes, we're looking at around 150 square feet per 1.5 feet. It's really how things are looking. So essentially, 1 tent footprint plus a walkway next to the tent makes for about 1.5 people. So when we're doing the calculations here, we're looking at around 100 square feet per person would be a non-car camping like tent site. So when we're looking at the baseball field, that's about the number that we would use as the upper limit. Now, depending on the design of each of the sites, we're going to have ingress and egress for emergency vehicles. So cut a 15-foot strip through whatever we're occupying with tents. But yeah, it's definitely how the math works on it.
And how do you designate these spots? You know, being at these hayfield music festivals, there's, you know, usually a stake or something, or when we do like a arts and crafts fest here, and people bring up a 10 by 10, you know, pop-up tent to sell their goods. How are you guys setting that up? And are these spots that you're selling being sold? Is this part of a ticket? How does that work?
Yes, it's part of it's separate from admission to the that.
I believe they previously discussed it's first come, first serve on the ticket process. Was that correct, Evan, for these camping areas?
Yeah, they'll sell out very.
When you say first come, first serve, this is online.
Whoever gets the tickets.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then there's someone at an entry point checking these tickets in question, correct?
Oh yeah, everyone. If we're talking about the meadow, there will be marks on cars so that we know that people have access to, and for access to the ball field camping, it'll be entirely wristbands. I mean, everybody will have a wristband. There'll be a wristband for entry to the event and a wristband for camping as well.
But we're not allowing stakes in this field, are we? There'll be no
No,
stakes.
no stakes in the ball field.
Okay,
Or gophers would come back.
yes.
Maybe they would leave.
Any other questions, trustees?
Yeah.
Okay.
Day parking labeled by a yellow square here, roughly in the middle of town. It's on a pretty uneven parcel of the land, to say the least, with lots of obstructions. I mean, stumps to name them, shrubbery. The access via an alleyway, I think. Just how do you guys plan on making that orderly and viable? Because looking at it now, it's wouldn't be orderly or viable. It's right on Main Street on the busiest, one of the busiest weekends of the month.
Have you guys seen that property? Visually?
Are we talking about
The day
next to the
parking square?
next to the hardware store?
Yes.
That was another one of Buck's suggestions, and he also owns that.
Okay.
No, we have not. We have not seen that in person.
You could have Cooper, when he's in town next, drive by there and take a look at it. I think that you'll find, unfortunately, that is not there'd have to be some work and clearing and whatnot done there for you to park there safely. It's
Where are we talking exactly? Sorry.
right across from the hardware store on Main Street. So
Oh.
Dairy Queen, and it's that old building that's kind of run down, and the chain link fence that's next to it. There's an empty lot, but it isn't a lot. It's just land, raw land with things on it.
Probably not the best option.
No. It's just something to think about.
Yeah, it seemed like a very small piece of property, which is why we were going to use it for probably our least popular ticket, which would be the single day ticket. So it's just people coming and going for the day. But no worries. We'll have to take a closer look at that one, it sounds like.
Yes, I think that would be wise.
Yeah, and that kind of goes into the RV parking as well. I mean, there is a multitude of vehicles kind of parked there, and just, thinking about music festivals and pulling into a site, you'd want, once again, overgrown brush, rocks, broken down vehicles, stuff like
It
that.
seemed like it would be something where we were placing them almost like satellites around the lot and not across it.
And the RV
So
parking, is that for staff or is that for concert goers?
That's for concert goers as well. And that would have the car, those cars would be labeled, or those vehicles would be labeled differently from obviously ball field parking, meadow camping, things like that. Only the people with the RV clearance are allowed to park there. And that's similar to the camping add-on for the concert ticket. There would be an RV add-on as well. But as far as the number of RVs go, they would probably be 5 to 8 over there. Something of that number.
And as for like the performers who, I would assume show up in coaches and stuff like that, those are temporarily parked next to the stage area. Is that correct?
That's correct. They'll go down Hancock, past the yacht club, through the backstage entrance, and park in the big parking lot.
Do they come and go as their sets come on? Are they there for the day? I'm just trying to picture the flow of.
It kind of depends on the act. A lot of headlining bands will come in their tour bus and then hit the road afterwards. But they might show up, Friday morning and leave at midnight. It just it kind of depends on the act and what their schedule is. I would say most of the tier of talent that we are talking about are not going to be coming to hang out very long. They'll probably have shows either on Friday or Saturday, whichever date they aren't playing here. They would be booked somewhere else, so they would need to leave most likely. But again, that's all kind of TBD.
Okay, just kind of expanding on this, we got the day parking labeled, we have RV parking labeled, and then we have two others, one labeled as water tank parking and the other one labeled as street parking. Once again, are those add-ons as we've mentioned before, or what are the needs for those, I guess?
I mean, it's all basically overflow parking at this point.
Yeah, that wouldn't be.
If we can't use the Mary lot, then
Stay stuck.
Yeah, that would not be paid parking. The street parking in town, that would not be for pay. There would be a ticket for that. It's just as it's available, we'll fill it up.
So are you gonna reserve the street parking and only the concert people can use them? Concert guests?
no, the normal parking on Main Street and everything will be business as usual.
Okay.
I'm gonna mention something to the trustees and to you guys as well. We just had ski joring here a few months ago and the 4th of July and some pretty significant events. And we've also had concerts and whatnot where parking is an issue. The area on the map, Meadow Car Camping, where you have that camping by the church, that road right there is a typical parking street. They really only park on that one side because the other side is housing with driveways and whatnot. But our parking during those large events, especially 4th of July, it goes all the way down to Point Park, which isn't even on this map. So when it comes to what's labeled, day parking and overflow parking, there's a lot of parking within town still to be had where it is legal. It's within our code. It's free to park. Your concert goers just won't be allowed to park there overnight. And being mindful of, where they are, the residences and the driveways is all that's ever really asked. But those areas are common street free parking. So I'm not sure how much emphasis we need to have on this overflow day parking. I mean, trustees, you can feel free to add or take away from that, but the ones that most of us are concerned about are the camping pieces, the ball field, the meadow car camping, and I think the RVs. The rest of it is really great that you're thinking of overflow parking for others, but considering we might be losing some of that with the Mary Drive and the ball field parking lot, there is a lot of just general street parking that is adequate and been used for years, many events.
And that's what I was.
That's great. That's
with
great
all
to
my
hear.
questions, yeah, I think it's unnecessary to go shove people into a parking lot up by the water tank.
Right.
People are gonna make parking, and that's we don't like it, but it's just part of the nature of the town here is we have nice wide shoulders in many spots and people figure it out and it'll fall on code enforcement to warn. I don't think I was gonna get a ticket, but warn people that hey, where you're parked right now is not approved. You're blocking someone's driveway. You are causing a hazard by sticking out too much, stuff like that. So, yeah, I think just these extra overflow parking lots, parking on private property, honestly, unnecessary. As long as, maybe you guys could support our staff here in pointing people in the right direction. Obviously, if they're concert goers, you won't really know if they're concert goers or not, and they're parked incorrectly. So
There will be way more people the weekend before for the 4th of July than there will be for this. And so I want to make clear, I think you guys are right on and we appreciate it, but people will find a place to park. And when I don't want the ball field or the overflow to disappoint or concern you, because there's plenty of parking.
Awesome. That's comforting to hear. I think the critical piece for us is just to make sure that anybody needs to be parked overnight. And when it comes down to it, the parking for people that are overnight, if you're not parked inside of the meadow, but you are camping at the ball field, all we need to worry about is making sure that they can have overnight parking without any concern.
Yes.
Everybody else is going to be staying in hotels or in Airbnbs will have parking already. So we're not really adding too much to the street parking situation, but for the people who are coming for the day, and then the very small handful of people relatively that will actually need 24-hour parking because they're going to be camping on the ball field. So if there's extra, great, but I don't think in looking through it and then talking with Steve about the kind of volume you guys have seen in a pretty regular busy weekend, I don't anticipate there's going to be communication with parking. So we just want to make sure that everybody who needs to be parked overnight is in the right spot.
Great. Other questions?
Are we voting on this or is this just initial discussion stuff?
No, we're voting on the variances.
Okay. Then
Can I break in? Can I mention too that for variances related to this, which is a special use permit, that's different than a variance for a land use. It doesn't require a public hearing for these types of variances. So I just wanted to make clear that variances that are given for special uses are settled by you.
So can I suggest that we just start with the first one,
Mhm.
necessary noise,
Mhm.
and get just at least your opinions on whether or not you think a 1 hour push on the noise ordinance is worth it?
backtracking to our
We're
first
backtracking.
conversation.
That was the first one I mentioned.
I know, but I mean, like,
No,
You want to vote on it?
for the, well,
Or,
yeah,
okay,
opinions.
Shouldn't we vote on separately on all?
that's
would
fine
say
if that's
yes.
what you guys would like to do. So we can start with the
Mhm.
first one with the
I mean, I
noise.
feel like we kind of, we covered all three of them. So.
Right.
Is there three?
Yep.
Oh, it's private, public. Yeah, okay.
It's a good thing it's not 11.
So, seeing as how this is, I guess my discussion side of it on the noise variance. Seeing as how we've never really been approached for a push past 10, and with it being essentially Friday and Saturday night, midsummer, weekend after the 4th, it's a pretty loud time of year in the first place. If the actual music venue was in a separate spot, I think it might be a different deal. I think down there, obviously sound travels all over the place up here, but it's down in a centrally located area, and then obviously as soon as the music stops and everybody starts heading home, whether it's to go camping or find their cars, there's always noise down the street, no matter what. You're generally gonna find that all the way till 2:30 PM or 2:30 AM.
AM.
Sometimes it is.
So I would be personally for giving it a shot for 11 for one time and see how it goes.
Yes, I disagree with you, so.
That's fine. That's why we talked.
It's a shot. Because I think there's gonna be noisy people coming back to their camp, they're gonna put the stuff in their cars, they're gonna come back, get it out, take it to the camp.
But that's what they do on 4th of July anyways.
Exactly.
I know, because I live right there.
I know.
I mean, here's my argument is I'm a 10 o'clock guy. The noise travels. Just because the music ends at 10 doesn't mean they're leaving at 10. Add another half hour, or 11, add another half hour to actually have security, kick them out. Decent walk to the camping sites in question. And for me, it's the economic benefit. I mean, these goers are going to go to the bars. If they can go to the bars sooner, they're going to spend more money. So that's going to be my argument is let's get the economic impact a little higher up here earlier on to get more revenue at the bars and restaurants that are stone's throw away there. So for that reason, I'm going for 10 o'clock still.
Well, if we're going to vote individually, then I would entertain action on Harmony Music LLC is requesting a variance for the town, I guess, read the whole thing. Town of Grand Lake Municipal Code 7-1-16, allowing the music event to end at 11 AM opposed to 10 PM, curfew outlined in the municipal code. Please poll the board on allowing the music event to end
A motion.
at 11. May I have a motion?
Mike?
I'll just throw the one out there. I move to approve Harmony Music LLC's noise variance to extend to 11 PM as opposed to 10 PM for the dates stated.
Thank you. Please poll the board.
Second.
God, what's wrong with me?
I didn't second. I just was saying we need one of those.
May I have a second, please? And a second, thank you. Please poll the board.
Alrighty. Trustee Miller,
Nay.
trustee Arnson,
Aye.
trustee Mills,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Sobon,
Nay.
and Mayor Berquist.
Nay. Motion has not passed. The ending time will end at 10 PM. And then next we'll look at the requesting variance for the municipal code festival attendees to camp on public and private spaces.
Those two separate motions, just to clarify.
Yes. You mean the music timing or the
The
7-6-15?
public, private, two different votes.
I think we can leave, this is all 7-6-15, so I think we can leave it just one.
Okay, well, I mean,
The board can separate it if there's a need to do so.
well, I'm for the private at the church. I am not for the public at the ball fields. Just with the vehicle situation, keeping track of it. Ultimately, people will be probably sleeping in their vehicles in the right of way on Center Drive there. So and the travel distance from the venue to there, well over a mile. For that reason, I'm only gonna experiment with the meadow car camping. walking down Carnes Avenue currently, the church park or church open field still looks kind of questionable from a horse event with no camping. So I'm giving this an attempt to see how it works in the future. But having the vehicle have a pass and stuff like that is, pretty standard for camping festivals, and I can work with that. But when it comes to an open field, and next to, they're both next to private property, but obviously with this, guys, I would definitely add a pending notices too to neighbors. I mean, I would be pretty mad if we approve this and I had a property right there and had no say in it. So I would definitely put that as a clause. I wouldn't even vote on it honestly today without notices. So that's the way I sit on it. So that's just my take.
Yeah, I'm not.
I understand one night. I mean, we've had the ride for the Rockies. I mean, these guys show up, they ride bikes, they leave, but this is multi-day. We haven't had any multi-day other than equestrian. So that's where I sit.
It is an option that you could ask to move this to a next meeting and request that we post a public hearing.
I mean, there's zero rush. This is in 2026, just for everyone's reference once again.
I think we do need to keep in mind, though, it isn't a rush for us, but it is a rush for them on such a month to get their bans and whatnot. So I don't want to.
I understand that, but we've had plenty of festivals down in that area, and none of these requests have come in before.
No,
So
not negating any of that. I
Yeah.
just want to be respectful of their time as well. Can we make a motion to, I mean, the board would like to approve it with the residents saying they approve it, or is it best
I think we
to
should
continue it?
make a motion to have a public
Public
hearing
hearing.
at a future meeting. I would like to possibly see some additional info on
egress,
how that possible ball field camping
bathrooms.
might work. I'm with you. I'm good with the public or private camping. But the public ones, again, you're spot on. Really, the only one that we've ever had there has been the Ride to Rocky stuff. And I do feel that with the Colorado Trail guys behind the center there as well, that we definitely need to, whether it be, I don't know, barrier it with some of
Yes.
that green fencing or not.
Yeah.
Privacy type of
Yes.
temporary privacy fence.
We have Buck and Rail that is around the CDD camp area.
Yeah,
So-
I meant more of like a break off to the end of the ball field
Yep, yep.
where there was prior.
Mhm.
So what is our liability if somebody gets hurt on that campground? They trip over or go over home,
Public or private?
public,
It's limited.
It's
Is
just.
what?
It's limited.
limited,
Mhm.
okay.
Okay, well, if someone would like to make a motion to hold on that and
Set a public hearing.
set up, yeah,
Dated.
next meeting.
We need to
Can
make
we-
sure that we
yeah,
have at
what's the
least 2
timing?
weeks, because so it'll probably, it may be the June meeting, depending on what you guys decide to do. And the reason that I say that is that we have to do
Mhm.
the canvas, we have to get the addresses and stuff together, and we'd have to post that. Mail them tomorrow
Yeah.
to meet the
No,
next
I
meeting.
think that's
That's way
physically.
too fast.
No.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Do you want to take action on the private land? Or do you want to keep it with,
I think.
Both of them.
It's all one public hearing
okay,
based on the two requested camping sites. I'll leave it open and let the public speak for that. Fill some chairs.
I move that we, should we? push it
June
first?
9th.
June 9th. We address Yarmany Music LLC's request for variance on code 7-6-15, allowing festivity attendees to camp on public and private spaces until the June 9th, 2025 meeting.
Second.
I have a motion. Please poll the board.
Trustee Mill? Trustee Miller?
Aye.
Trustee Aronson?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Savon?
Aye.
And Mayor Burton.
Aye, motion passes.
Guys, Brian will get back with you and we'll start to work all of that out so that we can have it all put together for the board and ready to bring it back again. And should nobody show up to that meeting, the board will have their answer.
I got $1.
I didn't bet it.
Oh, okay.
So let's move on to 7-10
Hang on,
Does that still need a variance?
did Evan, did you want to say something?
No, all good.
Do you guys understand the request that we have as a board here? Just want to make sure we're all on the same page here.
Yeah, we do.
Last one, 7-10-2, festival attendees to park on public private spaces, which is on-street parking throughout town, RV parking 1128 Park Ave Hancock, and water tank County Road 663 North Inlet Trailhead.
Do we still need a variance on that? We determined on streets gonna be normal parking without first reserved.
I think it's, if I'm correct, we need the variance because the RV parking will be overnight as well.
For just that.
So do we want to tie that into our public hearing?
I don't think so because 7-10-2 is all three of these, which is the public private parking. We know we're going to allow them throughout town. We've discussed that. And we're just going to decide now whether or not we're okay with the RV overnight. And we don't believe that the water tank would necessarily be needed, but if it is, we're okay with that. So I feel like let's go ahead and just address that one. And then we're only leaving 7-6-15 for the next meeting.
So when we approve the RV parking, is that just the parking of the RVs or camping in the RVs?
Camping.
Camping in the.
Yes.
Brian, the 7-10-2, the only notation in there is for parking on a public right of way.
You are correct.
So that would have no bounds on whether or not the RVs were in that lot, correct?
There should be camping allowed. Camping should have been included on this. I apologize.
Okay, so that is in the -2 portion.
So once again, back to my previous comment, should loop this in with the public hearing.
I say yes, because there's camping.
I mean, it's camping. There's parking there. It's camping. It's glamping. And pending written approval from property owner as well.
Okay. You're correct. We don't have the written approval.
Okay, well then I'd like to hear a motion on that piece as well.
I move to address Yarmany Music LLC's request for a variance on municipal code 7-10-2, allowing the festival attendees to park on public and private spaces to include RV parking and on-street parking throughout town.
Motion?
To be addressed along with code 7-6-15 on June 9th, 2025. Thanks.
I have a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
And a second, please poll the board.
Trustee Miller,
Aye.
trustee Armisen.
Aye.
Trustee Mills. Mayor Pro Tem Silva.
Aye.
And Mayor Berkowitz.
Aye.
Anyone, it's you, Mike.
Passes. Okay, sorry, guys. I know you're probably frustrated with this. We'll have manager Kudron get with you tomorrow and work through what the next piece of this looks like and what information we'll need you to gather for the next meeting.
All good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mayor. Board.
Okay, we'll move on to our third item, request to approve the space to create owner's rep financing workshop with Archaic Group.
Thank you, trustees and Mayor Berquist. I have, you had requested follow-up with our project manager, owner's rep financing, and to try to finish that final leg of our building blocks. During this experience, what I've done is I've worked with the Archaic Group as to understand what are our needed components on how to get our project built. As we continue to come across a challenge or 2 or 20, I wanted to provide to you another set of perspectives, which is what Archaic would bring. This is for kind of a preliminary engagement. It's a 60 to 90 day, which is billed against a $10,000 allowance. This is pretty vague in terms of what the deliverables are, because part of it is the use of this contract would be to get us closer to that finish line on getting a project built. I have shared with a couple of the trustees that we're kind of in some quandary with how to be able to find some of that financing. So I continue to work with the team, with MA Studios, with Doug Decker, with Colorado Creative Industries, and with DOLA to work on getting this project done. I think that a contract with Archaic would be beneficial. I don't know if today's the right time to do it, just because of some of the unknowns that are being put up right now. That doesn't mean that we couldn't put this, kind of on the bucket to see how that fills out. We could provide a commitment if you think that there's value in bringing in another consultant to talk to us about getting there. We've done that quite a lot, and there is some fatigue that is setting in with us figuring it out and not doing it. So you all have had the opportunity, except for Trustee Mills, to spend time and interview Archaic as such. And I did tell them that I would provide them a response. I'm open to any questions. My recommendation is that we consider them and consider a future time of engagement as decided by the board.
I'd look through the recommendation. I think we're early on managing the process, but you need somebody else out trying to raise money right now. That's where I
Not
thought-
today, because
Okay.
the question is, I don't know what that looks like today. And it is, we are considering different options and what our funders would allow us to do to get something built. So without being able to speak a whole lot more, I made a commitment to put this on. I'm not as excited about putting it on as I was 2 weeks ago when I made the commitment because of the changes in the project.
I think we're a little premature on it.
I would agree.
You think?
Unless they can find us a couple million in a week.
That would be nice.
I mean, is that a role that they play? Are they out seeking options for us like this?
Their experience is not directly in fundraising.
I would-
However, their experience is with other organizations that have gone through some of the stuff we have. They've just recently had to unwind a project and start with a whole new developer at the beginning in Summit County. I don't like to think that my project's headed that way, and that's not the expert I'm looking to find. But somebody that might have that ability, I think, is somebody to have in the quiver for sure.
Getting them up to speed on where it's at and what it is.
Yes, what questions do you have so that you can?
Well, now I know where it's going. I've heard discussion about it, but, yeah, I don't know a lot about it. I really
Sure.
don't. And, I don't know, I'll read some more about it. I really don't know what that's.
Sure.
And understand too, during this vote, that you are free to abstain from it if you're not, yeah. Sure.
Yep.
And that's very respectable. We've all done it, so feel free to take that approach. I would entertain action if we don't.
And the second motion is fine. I'd bring it back to you when the timing is better.
We're not,
No.
we're not tabling it.
I want a yes or a no.
No?
Is that leading enough?
I move to not recommend the mayor sign the contract with the architect group for owner's rep services at this time.
Thank you.
A motion
Second.
and a second, please pull the board.
Trustee Arnson,
Aye.
trustee Miller,
Aye.
trustee Mills,
I'll abstain.
Mayor Pro Tem Silva.
Aye.
And Mayor Berquist.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you, Manager Kudron. Okay, at this time, I'd like to hear future items for consideration, please.
One of the things we had mentioned was to have a discussion with the board regarding the May 26th board meeting. May 26th falls on Memorial Day. The board has the opportunity to reschedule or cancel the meeting as they feel is appropriate. One of the reasons that we had recommended the board retreat during the period between that meeting and the next June meeting is an opportunity to get all of you together during that gap of time and spend the time that you would spend discussing issues and items that are here.
Do we have anything big for that agenda?
We have two items that'll be before the planning commission that will likely be on the 17th, which means that they would have to wait until the 12th of June. So if they were heard by the planning commission on the 17th in a recommendation one way or the other, the board won't see it for another 10 days. The two applicants that I talked to that would fall into don't have any objection to that. They would prefer it to be in May than the June 5th one.
Okay, so they're ready to present to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll also have the special use permit for the CDT camping. The next meeting, I'll have 2 liquor license transfers for the evening meeting, and then during the workshop, we have a ADA update, a CDT update, and a dark sky update. And then the Grand Lake Rotary Club will be bringing their peace pole project to you guys.
For what?
Peace
Pole
pole.
project.
Oh.
We call it the PPP.
PPP.
This kind of pole or this kind of?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like a
Who's doing
circle
Rotary?
Oh, Rotary. I'm sorry, I missed the Rotary.
There are thousands of them around the world.
You wouldn't believe it.
I thought you said the peace pipe.
That's not Rotary.
That's a 420
ceremony.
Okay. So
We could meet Memorial Day and just.
I'm gonna throw this out there. I will not be here Memorial Day, whether you guys decide to have a meeting or not. It's my birthday.
Oh, yay. Happy birthday.
So I don't really care if you continue.
The way they're
close. I sit in this chair much longer.
Every year, every week.
noted. When, we still do have one more meeting. So we're talking about this understanding that we're gonna work to make sure that everything is pushed into our May 12th meeting.
Just maybe a little heavy. So get cozy in your chair, Mike.
Maybe we'll have some new
How
chairs
about those
by
new
now.
chairs?
I might bring him one of those chair cushions for his birthday.
We're looking.
A little wedgie
Yes.
thing.
Yeah, we've been on it, but we had another lead with Christina, so we're just kind of waiting on that.
Stand up table.
You have a chair guy?
Does.
I have a chair guy.
That's the care guy.
So are we on?
I have all kinds
Are
of.
we on future consideration? Yeah. I have a question for you. What is the timing on the state or county, whichever one's doing those roundabouts, like on 34 and 4? Is that this year or next year?
I was on that meeting.
The 3441.
There's no timeline. I mean, they have a whole list for our region. And there's at least a code signed to ours that defines the project. There's ones that are in limbo still. No timeline. There's a lot, like 27 dates that they outline for certain projects based on funding. So it wouldn't be in 27.
Not this year.
No. This year you're gonna get lucky and
Red
get
Dirt Hill.
Red Dirt Hill's gonna get
Finishing the passing lanes outside of Kremlin.
and paving from the Vintage Motel all the way, I think, through the town of Winter Park.
And I heard at Grand
Milling.
Places that they're looking at getting it from the patch at the radio tower to Granby Ranch.
Oh.
So that to finish that stretch that they started last year.
I mean, there's a proposed 2 lanes of road between Winter Park and Fraser as well. 4 lanes. I mean, yeah. I mean, this list is huge. There's a lot of asks, and
So it's not necessarily the same time as the one here.
No.
This is further.
No.
also no timeline.
Okay. I just heard they were out there. I didn't know.
Yep.
Future items of consideration. I was reading the Sky High News. Town of Fraser passed a resolution to when the mayor is out of town and Mayor Pro Tem has to fill in, that the payout is the same as the mayor.
Ooh.
So just following. So just following what other local municipalities are doing.
Way.
Just to cush up someone's position at some point, maybe.
Now, as staff, I don't object to that because the mayor, if she's not here, doesn't get paid.
Oh,
You only get paid for the meetings that you attend.
so she can pay you her.
Yeah, it's just rolling from me to him. So we're still paying.
We're actually saving $100.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So just
I'll look
it's
into it.
out there.
Well, we'll look into it. Does that mean that you're looking forward to doing it or not looking forward to doing it?
I'm looking forward to doing it.
Would be nice to have 2 pennies to do it.
Yeah. Into the practice in the mirror, you
got
know. Starting the Pledge of Allegiance.
Not my problem. I'm not practicing enough.
Staff will get to work on that.
Yeah, you do great.
Which, if you could note for our next planning commission meeting, make sure that we get their payroll stuff ready. There.
Anything else? I have nothing. We've talked about the few things and I'm good. I have nothing in particular.
Anything with this?
Yes, this morning I did receive, I forgot, I did attach that and send it to you. It didn't make the manager's report because I didn't see it. But attached to some of the documents that was added, and if you would please put those all up with the documentation, is we did receive a report from the Grand Lake Center. And it details some of the current work that is being done, but also there's a specific request on for an upgrade of the access system. It's been out for about a month. We have started going into the rabbit hole of
Are we talking the key card?
cost of repair. Yeah. So cost of repair is now getting bigger and bigger every 2 weeks.
Instead of a full overhaul.
Yeah. And it's some of the pricing is in there. It's a non-budgeted expense, but it would fit under repair and maintenance.
What's this attached to? I didn't see this one yet.
It was attached
It was
to the
without
first email that Elena sent. Not the one that was sent second.
I guess
Yeah.
not two different emails to you guys today.
She's got a paragraph blocked off with a palm tree.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of like an ad. I thought maybe she gets, sponsored.
Okay.
Seems,
You can't read it.
seems purposeful.
Yeah, especially since that's like
Yeah.
right around where the money
I'm just trying to get this
right.
right.
That's convenient.
I was like, I didn't see any money, so.
I thought that was a pot leaf
So
at the
you'll get-
bottom though. So I will ask you for that consideration and I'll bring that to you. Next meeting. Okay. Others.
Since I just found out, can we have our new marina manager come in and
Yep.
give us a rundown on
Yep.
what you might want to do?
He starts on May 15th. He has accepted the position. His name is Reed James. And yeah, you do. Yeah, that Reed James.
The Reed James.
We are we are excited to bring a Grand Lake edition back to Grand Lake. So it should be a lot of fun. And one of the previous marina managers from a long time ago has shown an interest in maybe doing some tours. So we'll continue to work on that too, to see if we can't get some people that have more stories to tell than I think the way that person offered to do the tours, he said, it seems like the last 4 years they've been given boat rides instead of boat tours.
Yeah, and there were a lot of stories. I don't know if they're true or not, but a couple of them.
A lot of them kind of are.
Anything else? Nope.
You got your whole staff back then for the marina, the rest of the guys?
We're working on that. Obviously Lance is still around and he'll be offered a role. So, and then we started reaching out to all of last year's, and within the first couple of days, we had about 30%. So I think the next one, so we do have a starting point. And
Well, I
next
recommend that
Monday.
you make him take us out for the first tour so we can,
Perfect.
so we can get his,
You
I like it.
betcha.
his line down.
Fact check.
Not this coming Monday, but the next Monday is when we'll start. No, next Monday is when the boats, Monday, Tuesday is when the docks will be put in. We'll start working on that. And it's the following Saturday, the 9th is that when this will open. Stillwater did open Sunday at 6 a.m. And by 8:30, there were at least 15 boats there when I drove by.
We delayed paving on the boat ramp. Any update on that?
We're working on getting that scheduled in June. As soon as we can get that done.
Yeah, new dock.
We're also working with the Portal Crossing developer on their asphalt and parking plan. So there's some additional engineering that we need to make sure that the road's right. So it might be a little delay of a week or two, but we're working on the lights and the parking layout to get that done.
So did you finalize the deal with the Rocky Mountain National Park?
No, they're still working on it. They're waiting for the engineers from CDOT
Oh, okay.
because I know that that's our requirement. They do have,
That's their number one spot.
yeah, that's the only one that's feasible in their mind.
So mayor's report, I really don't have anything this week. I was excited and hoping that we would have a new trustee to join the board. So primarily welcome and thank you for wanting to be a part of this and we are as well. So welcome. I'd like to just kind of reiterate too, thinking about this summer and what we have in our future and what we as a board want to see, changes we want to see. I've been telling everyone for the last few months that, you know, I'm always wanting to hear your input. What concerns, what visions, comments you hear on the street. So please, everybody can continue. Well, they pick on all of us. It happens everywhere we go, so you'll have some experience already under your hat. Yeah, springtime and the lake is thawed and that's a beautiful thing. And I think it's just important for us as a board to look to what we want this summer to be like in the events. And I appreciate everybody's enthusiasm and attention to detail. Has been very nice to see on this board. So that's all I have for tonight.
No more snow.
I thought that was being part of your mayor's report.
What?
The snow.
Yes, no snow. I'll entertain action on one more item.
We'll do the Julie motion. I move to adjourn.
Second.
And I have a motion and a second. Please pull the board.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
These last two meetings.
I'm great.